ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Miswaki, Miami, Peoria, and Potawatomi. It is incumbent upon all of us to reflect on this history of the land cession, respect their lands, and honor their perseverance as a proud people. My name is Brian Yap, and I'm the Director of Operations for the Motor Cities National Heritage Area, and I'm honored to welcome you all here to this historic day, the grand opening of Court Street Bridge Park. This is near the organization of the Motor Cities National Heritage Area is a unit of the National Park Service dedicated to preserving the automotive and labor heritage of southeast and central Michigan over 10,000 square miles. It's an industry that links us all together, and it's altogether appropriate that we're here today. Make no mistake that the auto magnates of the early days depended on our waterways for transportation and commerce. So the Rouge River has always been an important place in our history. And in fact, it was named in the legislation that created the heritage area. That is in that spirit that Motor Cities joins over 24 partners in the Fort Rouge Gateway Partnership that we affectionately call FLAW. This group focuses on projects which will enhance the appeal, access, and awareness of this area as a connector. And today, as we open the new Fort Street Park, we know that we have done our best to deliver a space that is designed to connect our history to our future, our people to our waters, and our labor to our nation. So before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to ask all the members of the FLAW to wave their hands and be recognized. Our first speaker has always endeavored to connect all of these factors. She is the U.S. representative for our neighboring 12th district. She's Representative Debbie Dingle. Mrs. Dingle.
Good morning.
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 It's great to see everybody here, and it shows that when something important happens, we don't let a little lame duck stop us. Conrad, they want you up here. Come on up. We're also just us, so we all are just us. I want to tell you this morning, I'm going to be short. I am short, but I want to be short. But I want to help bring those connections together. I'm thinking of two people that aren't here who were so critical to this. John Dingle, he's up there. He was one of the people that had this vision from the very, very beginning. And he enlisted his buddy, Ed Begal. Those two were always causing trouble, but good trouble. And you know, here we can't forget the history. I'm here, Bernie Rick, the president of Local 600 and other UAW brothers and sisters. This is a place that in 1932, working men and women marched for the equality and dignity of working people. 5 people died because of that march. But because of what happened here, every working man and woman in this country benefited. And in these days, today, we need to study history, which is what the Motor City Automotive Heritage Board, and I am proud that I've been here from the beginning on that, helps to do, is to have people study history. And we all need to remember that all of us are better off because of labor unions, the 40-hour work week, the benefits that we have, holidays, vacations, safe working places. Even when you're in a school, the teacher to students, the patients, that's because of the unions. And here is where unions help others. But Ford Motor Company is here. Brad, I know you're out there. And what happened here went on, and we are the leader globally in the world for mobility and transportation because of that partnership between unions and Ford Motor, which we also celebrate here. So we should applaud what this. But then behind me we have the Rouge River. And the Rouge River is what keeps us connected. I know JJ out there and has been working on all of the connecting trails. But the Rouge River and the Detroit River are what keep us together. And many don't know this. You surely, Gal. Gal, the other half is here too. That the Rouge River caught on fire 50 years ago. It's 51 years now, almost. It's 51. It's 51 this month. And out of that, I mean, it was a mess. John Dingle introduced and passed almost every initial bedrock environmental law legislation because of the fire that occurred on the river behind us. And many forgot about that fire. And now, I wish it could have been, what is the most entertaining thing in the world to watch Rashida and I kayak together. But there were bets about who was going to drown first. We're both still here. But when you go down the Rouge Gateway now, we saw, Rashida got the most beautiful picture of a painted turtle, the herons, the eagles, and you see the rose plant in the background, or AK steel, but you also see God's beauty and nature. And here we're going to have a kayak. You can launch here in a kayak and
just saw a great blue heron.
And look at the blood, sweat, and tears and what given all of us families and an income and put the world on wheels. But it also celebrates our natural resources. So today this park's been a long time coming, but it's a place that we bring ourselves together to remember our connections, our history, to learn from them, to remember we've got to protect our natural resources and our environment. We don't own these lands, we borrow them for generations to come. And today I thank every single person who made this a reality. We're all a team, and we've got to keep working together, unfortunately, for a hell of a lot of things, but today I'll just take the celebration of this dedication. Thank you. Woo!
Full service. Thank you, Mrs. Dingle, and we also want to take a moment to acknowledge, of course, your comrade, the U.S. representative for the 13th District in our absence, Representative Rashida Tlaib. Absolutely. We also want to thank our U.S. senators, both the office of Darren Peters and the office of Debbie Stabenow, for their continued support of this project as they've been represented throughout. So thank you all for your work. Our next speaker calls this neighborhood home. He represents this area in the state of Michigan legislature. I'd like you to welcome Representative Tyrone Parker.
Maybe I should put my mask on. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Congresswoman Dingle, for that history lesson. As a young person, all I remember was there was a bar here and some homes here, and as we rode the bus to Southwestern High School, we'd ride by here and say, wow, what is going on? So years ago, this neighborhood used to be host to Hunter Elementary School. So through the work and collaboration of Marathon and partners, this has now become a nice place to come hang out, a park. And since COVID, we know that more people are walking, more people are bike riding, so they can come sit here and just enjoy the view that once wasn't so enjoyable. And I want to tip my hat off to Paul Dross, where you at, Paul, for bringing this to the Downriver Delta. We're the Downriver Delta members. Before I was a state representative, I was the president of our neighborhood organization in 48217, the zip code that you're in. And we've had some not so good times, but when Paul brought this to the organization, it was one of the things that we fought really hard for. And so I'm proud to stand here today, and no prepared remarks because it was raining earlier. I said, Lord, please give us a little break for a while, because this is a great occasion, because it took a group of people, whether it's Marathon, whether it's the Downriver Delta, Ford Motor Company, the unions, to pull this together so that people can have a nice space to come visit or just ride through, and it beautifies this area. So on behalf of the State House, forget that. On behalf of this neighborhood, I say thank you.
Thank you, Representative Carter, for your dedication to the state and to the people of Michigan. Someone who also embodies dedication to the people of Michigan as a former Michigan Supreme Court Justice and now serving dedicated to the citizens of the city of Detroit, Deputy Mayor Conrad Mao.
Good morning to all of my colleagues. I'm always amazed what we can do when we do something together. As Tyrone indicated, this was not the area 10 years ago that it is now. And if you go across the city, as I've now had the occasion to do regularly, you see transformations like this taking place. And you see reflected in what the state representative said and what the congresswoman said about all of the coalitions that have to come together to create the circumstance where this kind of really positive change can occur. This kind of green space directly diagonal to the cement of the freeway, it stands out, doesn't it, as a beacon of hope, as a place of green peace next to the river. It's just an extraordinary accomplishment. And you know, the mayor is very grateful just to be a part of the celebration. I'm just a little bit in awe, State Representative, of what you all have been able to do, creating something so much out of so little. Is just really a testament to the dedication of this community, the strength of coalitions, and the power of a vision. So I just, on behalf of all the rest of the citizens of the city, thank you very much for your hard work and your dedication to this cause. The environmental steps that we take place in the city are important. We don't have enough of them occurring frequently enough. And so I'm grateful today to be a part of this celebration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'd like to bring up our next speaker, who had so much faith in this project that when we brought her to a plot of land that was mostly gravel and weeds, her first question was, how can I help? And that is the councilwoman for this week, Councilwoman Raquel Castaneda Lopez.
Everyone's trying to promote me, and I'm like, I'm good with council here. So, good morning. I am so happy to be here because actually, as a child, few people know I grew up partially over here on Luther Street, and so my dad had a house there. We would spend time there. I remember just fixing up the house because it was one of those rundown houses that needed a lot of work, and going back and forth from the Oakwood Heights neighborhood over here to where I now live over by Clark Park. And so this neighborhood is very special to me because of all those fond childhood memories. And I remember going with him trying to fish, believe it or not, just finding some way to the Rouge River, either here or over along Fort Street. And I'm to this day, I'm looking at the places we weren't fishing. It's probably not the safest space to be fishing, but very fond childhood memories of these communities. And so I want to give a shout out to all of the everyday Detroiters, the community warriors and sheroes. I see Miss Wanda here. I know the Downriver Delta. I got connected. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. Because it really is them, as the everyday Detroiter who doesn't get paid to do this, who puts in the extra time and volunteers after they come home from work to do this on the weekends. And I was connected with them when actually I was an intern with former State Representative Steve Bachman in graduate school. And I remember going to some of those Downriver Delta meetings and listening and hearing about frog, and I had no idea what it stood for, and I was like, oh, cool idea. But these seeds have been planted, you know, for quite some time, and so I really want to make sure that our community leaders are highlighted, because if it was not for their tireless effort in pushing this conversation forward, we wouldn't be here today. And so for me, as we fight for environmental justice on city council, it's about, you know, having access to clean air, clean water, clean land, but it's about having access to these clean and safe recreational opportunities as well. We know that one of the top requests when we go out door knocking and talk to folks house to house, they're like, hey, we want places for our kids to go safely, right? We want to be able to just, especially during the pandemic, walk outside, walk not too far, and just be in nature to heal ourselves and to reconnect. And I think it was really beautiful when Congresswoman Dino was speaking. A blue heron literally landed on the bank behind her. She didn't realize it was serendipitous that happened. But it's that type of, I think, power of connection back to the earth, back to Mother Nature, that is super important to me as an urban gardener. And I know all of the healing impacts it has especially for our communities. And too often, our marginalized communities, our communities that live by industry, don't have those opportunities. So recreation and green space shouldn't be a luxury just for privileged folks. It should be accessible to every single person. And so I want to thank Frog, I want to thank Downriver Delta, and all the other groups that really made this possible. It has been amazing to see it from, like, you know, just grass or overgrown trees, and then, you know, drive by and see maybe a little bit more cement or the pavement and such being put in. So I'm really, really happy to come and kayak here soon and come and just sit here and maybe have work from here versus working from my house all the time. So I just want to say thank you and commend you all. And hopefully this is just one example that we can replicate throughout the city of Detroit, because every Detroiter deserves access to spaces like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And those are heartfelt words from people who are truly invested in this project. Speaking of investment, the reality of this is that this space that we're standing in could have been a field, could have been a parking lot. We were in a position around 2012 when the original 4th Street Bridge was being disassembled, needed to be replaced for a number of engineering and other issues. And the decision had to be made about what was going to happen to the legacy and the story of what the bridge represented. And it was the Michigan Department of Transportation who said, we are willing to work with you to program this space into a park for the citizens in this community. So I'd like to invite Kimberly Webb, representing the Michigan Department of Transportation, for some words.
Good morning. As you said, my name is Kimberly Webb. I'm the MDOT Metro Region Engineer, and it's my honor to represent the state of Michigan and a privilege to be invited to say a few remarks today. When I think of this new setting, this community space, 3 words come to mind: history, ingenuity, and collaboration. It's been well documented throughout this illustrious history of this great city that this site that we are on today was ground zero for the 400 March in 1932, where over 3,000 plus marchers marched. And this event helped to sway the public support for unionization and was a key trigger for the creation of the UAW. And because of that history, MDOT felt it necessary to make sure that we made a difference. Fast forward to 2012, MDOT was invited to discuss with the community our project for the lift bridge and its replacement. And through that conversation, ingenuity happened, where it was talked about what will we do with this space. The lift bridge replaced the existing aging structure that was opened in 1923. Construction was very complicated and required close coordination with the U.S. Coast Guard. The main leaf that lifts up and down was built on shore and floated into place and connected to the machinery during the closure of the channel. This new structure is the largest overhead counterweight bascule bridge in the world, another first for Detroit. And yet, for all the history and ingenuity, the driving force behind this park is collaboration. The park features historic pieces salvaged from the bridge, along with other historic pieces from the city of Detroit. I want to thank Motor City's Automotive National Heritage Area and the Fort Rouge Gateway Coalition for that dedication and tireless efforts to make this happen. This park is a reality because of the community coming together and the tenacity to continue to make sure that this happened. The coalition to do the work, to raise the money to get this done. There are a few challenges along the way, but they did not stop. They continue to move forward and keep this momentum for the community. And this demonstrated the tenacity that we see today. And we thank you for all of your efforts, and we know that the community will benefit from this park from now and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly, and again, thank you to the Michigan Department of Transportation for your vision in allowing this space to be programmed for its use. It really is going to take the community's effort, as you mentioned. We want to give a shout out to those who will continue moving forward, particularly the Downriver Delta Community Development Corporation, who you mentioned. They will be the caretakers of this workspace. So I want to acknowledge Gina Wilson-Stewart and the entire board of Downriver Hilton is here, ready to receive the baton. She may also come around with the collection plate to make sure that we are well funded into the future. So thank you for that vision. It was also a vision to make sure that the story was maintained. As we mentioned, the bridge being torn down, the bridge originally was adorned with a Michigan State historic marker that talked about the history of the Ford's Hunger March. When the bridge went down, the marker was to be taken down. But that would have been an unconscionable loss of that story. The one person who's always maintained the story of the bridge and the marchers is our next speaker. He's the president of UAW Local 600, Mr. Bernie Rickey.
Thank you, Brian. This project has been a labor of love for Local 600. To tell you a little bit about the history that I've lived through with this Hunger March is, if you look back prior to 1992, which was the 60th anniversary, not only did Ford Motor, but the UAW wrote this march out of our history. Obviously Ford did because people died during the march, but the UAW wrote out of their history because it was organized by communists. And it took 60 years for both sides to recognize the historic impact this march had on both parties. And I think when both parties recognize the good and bad of our history, it enables us to move on in a positive way. And I can say just the relationship with Ford started out, I tell people this all the time, started out probably the worst relationship with its workers in the UAW. And today, I think, because of hard work and recognizing, building on our history, we have the best relationship out of any of the car companies right now. So it actually was a privilege for me. I worked on the organizing of the 60th anniversary. We actually had a recreation of the march. We had 3,000 people march from the bridge to Local 600. We had quite a program there, but the best part of the march is we had 13 of the original Hunger Marchers there. Several of them I got to know very, very well. And I can tell you that two of the most moving events, for one of them, Dave Moore was a good friend to a number of us, and he was 17 during the original Hunger March, and said it changed his life forever. Two things that really stuck out to me with Dave was when Ford built the new truck plant. You go by Gate 4, there's granite etchings of historical events at Gate 4 in front of the Ford plant that Ford put in. And one of them is the Hunger March. Now this is an event that Ford and the UAW both wrote out of our history, and Ford went so far as to put an etching of the Hunger March in front of their plant. And when I took Dave there, he got quite emotional. So Ford was recognizing the sacrifice. The other event on the other side was when we did the 60th anniversary. We had a luncheon down at the Reuther Library where we had 11 of the original Hunger Marchers there, and Owen Bieber, who was the current president of the UAW at the time, was at the luncheon and spoke to them. And several actually came to tears because, like I said, the union wrote out of our history too because of the communist influence during that time. So we've come a long way. We're very proud of Local 600 to be a part of this project. And this is going to make the history live on for the sacrifices. I know people mentioned the men and women in the march, but there were children in that march too as families. And we're just proud to make sure this heritage lives on. And we're proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bernie, and for those words about the legacy of these marchers. We also want to point out that joining us today is Sandra Engel, who is from the UAW International Education Department, as well as Dave Elsler, representing Michigan's Labor History Society. And both of these organizations, of course, endeavor to make sure that this important history is not lost. In fact, the names of the 5 marchers will also be immortalized at the Transcending Labor Legacy Landmark at Hart Plaza.
I'd like to take a moment to allow Representative Tlaib's office to come up and give us some words.
Good morning. My name is Lisa. I'm here from Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib's office. First of all, I just want to thank NDOT, Downtown Delta, Community Development Corporation, Local 600, and everyone else who was involved in this effort. Congresswoman, as she always says, you know, this is where she grew up, this is her backyard. Environmental justice is extremely important to her, so having green spaces in the 13th district is so important, you know, to residents being able to breathe easier, to have green space, like the councilwoman said. So we're really excited about this project. And also just, you know, the 13th district is where movements are birthed, and so we're really grateful that this history is being honored here, and that the resistance is also being honored in this way. So thank you so much. Just going to present a certificate of recognition, and thank you for all your work. Very exciting.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you again to our representative. We appreciate it. Many should realize that what you're seeing today is just phase one of what this park will be. It's take a lot of work to get us to this moment, but it is just the first step. Phase two will continue on, and though there is no baton to hand off, I think it'll be in no better hands than our next speaker, who is the executive director of the Friends of the Room, Marie McCoy.
Woo-woo!
Thank you, Brian. This is such a special day for all of us, but it's especially exciting for me to see a new feature added to the Rouge River watershed. So awesome, thank you. This park is the first step in a broader plan to develop additional recreational opportunities along the Rouge. And yes, phase two will include much needed access to the river. And this includes a universally accessible kayak launch and a boardwalk that we can watch freighters and tugboats, observe the bridge open, and fish. But before we get to phase two, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have made phase one possible. So thank you to Marathon Petroleum Company, who's been nothing but supportive in the planning and funding of the construction documents, which helped make this concept a reality. We are proud to have the park be a complement to the Marathon Gardens, which is located just a stone's throw down Denmark here to my right. I'd like to ask Honor Shard from Marathon to raise her hand and be recognized. As the fundraising began in earnest, it was Ford Motor Company who stepped up and made a significant contribution. As this project represented a critical part of their history, in fact, it was Mr. Bill Ford's executive office who made sure that the company was a part of this project. We would like to thank Brad Simmons and the Ford Fund for their support, and Brad is here today. The first foundation funding came from the Fred A. and Barbara M. Erb Family Foundation. Their focus on community health and well-being rings as a glowing endorsement that this park represents an important role in not just commemorating our past, but preparing for our future. Chris Dovey is here today. Chris? She is our patient and supportive program officer, and we want to thank her and the Erb Family Foundation for their encouragement. So with all these wonderful funding partners in place, we still needed a final push to make the park a reality. This came in the form of a community-wide grant submitted to the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation and by our colleagues at the Friends of the Detroit River. That grant included a regional connectivity plan to link greenways from Detroit to Flat Rock. This site became an important node on the Iron Belt Trail and will be the gateway to the Downriver Link greenways. We want to thank J.J. Ty and the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation for their vision in supporting this park and seeing its role in the broader plan for this region. Thank you. So even as the construction of the park was underway, the momentum to continue awesome features of the park grew. The Gordie Howe International Bridge Community Benefits Plan was looking to make an impact with projects on both sides of the Detroit River. So Friends of the Detroit River pointed them toward the Fort Street Bridge Park as an opportunity to support the park's centerpiece statue, which you can see all behind you today. This beautiful statue in the middle of the park was created by the Detroit Design Center, represented here today by Eric Nordine. Eric. He and his brother Israel took salvage parts from the original Fort Street Bridge, along with the creative input of our entire collaborative, which is no easy task, and forged March On, which stands as an homage to the spirit of the 1932 Hunger March and a tribute to the indomitable will of those who will continue to support the well-being of this river and this community. Many thanks to Heather Nugent from the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority and all of her associates here at their Southwest Detroit Windsor office.
Yay!
And finally, I'm going to name some of our key funders who are also listed on the donor plaque. So, and that plaque is located back there. So it's the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Legacy Fund for Design and Access of the Community Foundation through the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan, the Dearborn Rotary Foundation, AK Steel, DTE Energy, UAW Local 600, Mike Persig and Joan Kelly, the Michigan Labor History Society, the Bussell family, the John B. Wilson in memory of Gino Stavla, a Southwest Detroit resident who would have been very proud of this new park, Bridgewater Interiors, Michael and Nancy Darga, and the Walter and May Ruther Fund. This incredible project has taken the support of a very diverse group of important forward-thinking funders to get us to this moment today. I am so honored and humbled to stand before such giants. Your support has made a truly transformational impact for our community. On behalf of all of us at Frog, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I look forward to working with all of you on Phase 2. And so with that, I think we have one more special recognition. And I would like to invite the illustrious convener of our Frog Collaborative, Dr. Paul Drowse from the University of Michigan Dearborn.
Hi. When you said illustrious, I had to look the other way. I didn't know where you were going. How much time do I have? Okay. No, the reason I'm here and the reason that we're here is there's a lot to do with the gentleman mentioned earlier, Mr. Ed Gale, who I believe is watching us right now from the cloud. Ed's official, I'm wearing my U of M mask. When I first met Ed, I had a lot less gray hair than I have now. I was a youngish professor at the University of Michigan Dearborn, and Ed's official title was Vice Chancellor of Government Affairs, I think. But his real title, or the one he had for himself, was the Impresario of Improbable Projects. And I was either a beneficiary or a victim of this hobby of Ed's of trying to bring different people together to make projects and partnerships happen. And when I was a board member at Downriver Delta Community Development Corporation, I went to Ed to learn about the Rouge Gateway Partnership and to think about how we might move forward and join with the vision that he had. And so our name, the Fort Rouge Gateway Partnership, is very much a direct lineage and an homage to Ed and all that he produced with the partners that he brought together, because the thing he taught me, and the lesson I still remember and always repeat, is he said that half of leadership is just bringing people together in a room and keeping them talking. And he said, if you can get them together in a room and keep them talking, eventually good things can happen. And the other great lesson he taught me was about the river, because he loved the Rouge River, he loved this whole area, and he taught us that if you bring people to the river, if you connect them to the river and you allow them to see and experience the river for themselves, they will understand and they will buy in and they will want to be a part of that and they will want to preserve that. And I think those are two of the lessons that we've carried with us and that this park represents. And so I think it's without Ed's spirit we wouldn't be here today, and we're very grateful that Gail is here with us today to accept a posthumous award in honor of Mr. Ed Gale. And we want to thank you so much for being here, Gail. And thanks to Ed, and thank all of you all in Downriver Delta. Gina's going to be bringing a collection plate around, so keep an eye out for her. And now I'm going to pass the mic to Sean Homerville Size from Motor Cities to present the award to Ed Gale.
Thank you, Pat. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Gail, would you come on up and stand next to me, please? This park was an act of love. And I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for being here today and for all the work that was put into this park. And for the wonderful collaboration and the hope that it gives us for the future. So Gail, I don't have my glasses on because they steam up, but in honor of Ed Gale for envisioning and establishing the Fort Rouge Gateway Coalition on the occasion of the grand opening of the 4th Street Bridge Interpretive Park. And congratulations, Gail.
I know that Ed is here in spirit. He and Congressman Bingle, Big John, from Philip and Alvin, something beautiful that they have planted some seeds to make grow. And he would have said two things. First of all, he would have cracked some sort of off-color joke. And then secondly, he would have thanked everybody who was involved in this wonderful collaboration that they got started and who brought this, including the park and many other pieces of history of the automotive industry, the communities, and the environment together. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Gail. Certainly Ed would have been proud of a day like today. He would remind us how important we are to each other. That people are really our greatest asset, and that's what Paul's explaining. So as we prepare to cut the ribbon, I think of all the people. And what struck me is all the individuals who stepped up. The people like the PA group, led by Mike Franklin, Jeff Smith was here, and our engineers and designers who worked tirelessly to put this park together. It was probably his easiest project, I think Mike said, so he'll probably retire after this. Thanks to Z Contractors, I think Noel Cruz is here, and he was here when it was just a plot of land that he couldn't even put a shovel in, and he's crafted it into the site that we see today. So thanks to him. And thanks to all who dropped money in a bucket at a fundraiser or gave us encouragement as we met and gave us the will to march on when we were fresh out of ideas. We thank you all. When we launched the fundraising campaign, we received a donation from a family. It was the first $1,000 to come in, and I thought, well, let's call them and thank them. And when I called, a gentleman answered the phone, and he said the person who made the donation was not there, but could you tell me what this is all about? And I explained, well, someone made a donation to a park and we're building, but we wanted to, thank you for that. And he explained, oh yeah, that's actually very personal to me. And it turned out that I was talking to a gentleman named Joel Bustle. Joel is the nephew of Joe Bustle, one of the 5 who was slain here at the Hungary. And he relayed a story to me that said for his family, after 80 years, he was able to bring closure and a loop to this entire scenario, and they were happy to make the contribution on behalf of their family. And so, as I've always said, our work is about people, and it always will be. And the story of Mr. Bustle and all of these contributions, that's the how we built the park, but the story of Mr. Bustle and his family is the why. Why we did this, how we brought it all together, what kept us going in the cold and dark times. And so we're excited today to have Joel Bustle's daughter, Elena Bustle Show, to step up. And actually going to ask you to come this way, Elena. We were going to do it that way. We're going to pick. We're going to have her come up. So Elena, again, is the daughter of Joel Bustle, great niece of Joe Bustle. she's going to stand in the middle. She's going to be flanked by all of us. And on the count of 3, we're going to cut this ribbon for the pie. Get everybody in position. We're going to cut it for Joe York, for Coleman Lynn, for Joe de Blasio, for Curtis Williams, and for Joe Buster. Today we remember you as we open the 4th Street Bridge Park. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, let's cut it. So in closing, I want to thank you all for coming out. All of our speakers will be available for free comments if you'd like to. And I'm going to invite the frog group. We need to get a good shot of the frog group, so let's get together when we come out here. We're also going to ask all of our funders, so all the funders who were mentioned who are here today, we're going to ask you to step forward as well. We're going to get a photo with you. So all of the funders who were mentioned, Marathon, Herb, Ralph Mason, Community Foundation. Mr. Hershey is here. All of our funders, please step up. Right through. All of them, please step up. All of them.
Hi! And here is Marie McCormick, and we're here on this incredible day at the 4th Street Bridge Park for the great ribbon cutting of a monumental effort of so many groups, so many people, to bring you and Detroiters and Metro Detroiters just one step closer to that river.
Alana, you should be in the phone.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Is it over? No. Okay. Oh,